Long gone are the days when having a big belly is a sign of good living. Like people used to say, there was a time in my world when a man has a very big belly, people just assume that the man is living well and the man is living healthy. Long gone are those days, guys. And if you have a big belly, a belly that is not proportionate in size with your overall body, then it's actually a big cause of concern, and you should be paying attention to what your body is trying to tell you by this big belly that you have. Now, this video is going to be a very sensitive one, and I'm not here to highlight anybody's shame or make anybody feel shame for having a big belly. I'm just here to create awareness on a deep sensitive matter, so that you can start paying attention, or rather, first of all, become aware and start paying attention to your body's cues. Because having a big belly is not in any form, fashion, or shape a healthy thing or a healthy condition. So in today's video, I'm going to be addressing one of the major causes of a big belly, and then I'm going to be sharing with you practical tips on how you can combat it, because the cause I'm going to be sharing today is one that's actually within our control. So this video is all about creating awareness, bringing this into the light, and just helping us live this healthy lifestyle in a more intentional way. But before we get into the video, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now would be a time for you to join the Zeelicious Foods family, because on this channel, we're all about living healthy and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. When we first started, we're just all about sharing recipes, a repertoire of recipes to help you just eat well. But now we have transitioned into focusing more and solely on healthy eating and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And so we share healthy recipes on the channel, and then we also have healthy conversations like the one I'm having today that just help create awareness so that we can continue to live this healthy lifestyle very, very intentionally. So if that's important to you, then this is the place you definitely want to be. So go ahead right now and click on the subscribe button and the bell just right beside it so you can get instantly notified whenever we upload new videos every Saturday. And then of course we have an array of meal plans that can help you on your healthy eating journey as well, just in case you're looking for meals that can guide you and help you on your journey so that you don't stress yourself so much about what to eat. We have all of that. I'm going to talk more about that as we progress with the video. Without further ado, let's get right into the main topic for today's video, shall we? So if your belly seems to grow so big no matter what you eat, and you feel like you gain weight around your midsection, this video is actually for both male, female, boy, girl, whoever it is. If you seem to have a very big belly, you're not satisfied and you're not excited with your belly condition, and you want to change this, you want to change things, then you definitely should pay attention to what I'm going to be sharing with you in today's video. Because I personally was someone who wasn't very pleased with my midsection, and at some point I realized that my midsection was not in proportion with my overall body. So I have a slim body, but then my midsection was bigger than normal, and so I started paying attention to it. And as I progressed on my nutrition journey, because I'm actually a nutritionist in training, as I progressed on the journey, I started to realize that, I've been causing my body more harm than good. And when I applied the practical tips I'm going to be sharing with you in today's video, I started to reverse the big belly, and now my midsection is coming back to the way it's supposed to be. Anyways, like I said before, this video is not to trash or make anybody feel bad about their belly. It's just to create some form of awareness. But before I tell you this cause, the main cause of belly fats with regards to this video, I also want to mention that the fat around your midsection can be caused by different factors. Factors like stress, factors like fibroids, or even other hormonal conditions, posture issues. So I know some people who don't have a very good posture, and then when they stand, it looks like their stomachs just naturally protrude. That can also cause your stomach to look like it's big. Then issues like bloating. Bloating is a big deal. When you eat something that is very sensitive to your body is not accepting, then you have bloating. And this also comes from a place of not being mindful of the things that you eat and paying attention to how your body responds to the different things that you eat. So all of these things actually also cause belly fat, right? And it's important that we're being mindful. But for the sake of today's video, I'm going to be focusing on belly fat that's actually caused by something that's called insulin resistance. I'm going to be delving deep into it, again, breaking it down in the simplest of ways for anybody watching to actually understand. Now, what is insulin resistance in a very simple language? Insulin resistance is when your body system or some organs in your body, your cells, your liver, and some other organs do not respond anymore to this hormone called insulin. Now, what is insulin, you might ask? Before I talk about what insulin is, let me talk briefly about digestion, the digestion process of your body. Now, when you eat, regardless of the class of food that you eat, whether it's carbohydrates, protein, fat, whatever it is that you eat, that goes into your mouth, your body finds a way to convert it into energy, and it uses it in different ways and in different means. Now, there are different classes of food that provide different types and different grades and different ranges of energy. Remember, I'm just trying to keep things in a layman's language. I don't want to use technical words so that everybody would understand. We all know that the main classes of food are carbohydrates, protein, and fats. We have vitamins, minerals, we have fiber, and all of those other ones. But the main macros are carbohydrates, protein, and fats. And your body responds to these three classes of food in different ways, right? Now, I'm sure you've heard so many times when people say, reduce your carb intake. And that's actually for very good reason. When you overconsume carbohydrates, especially simple carbohydrates like processed carbs, like you have your snacks and your pastries and your bread, and you take fizzy drinks and sugary drinks and all of those simple carbohydrates, they are quickly converted to sugar in the body. Like, the conversion process is as quick as maybe between 15 and 30 minutes. The minute you take this any form of carbohydrate into your body quickly converts it to sugar. It doesn't do the same thing for protein, and it doesn't do the same thing for fats. For protein, the conversion process is a lot slower, and it doesn't convert to sugar, that's glucose per se. It converts to other things like amino acids. I don't want to go into technicalities. Remember, I'm trying to keep things very simple. It converts to other things that's not sugar. But the class of food that is converted very quickly to sugar in the body is carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates is divided into simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are just pure sugar. So I talked about things like your processed foods, your snacks, when you have donuts and bread and sausage rolls and fizzy drinks and biscuits, name all of those carbohydrates. So they are simple because all of the nutrients have been extracted from them. They don't have any other nutrients in them. No vitamins, no minerals, no fiber, nothing. I call them naked carbohydrates. They are so naked and they do your body no good. On the other hand, we have complex carbohydrates, which we can get from whole grains like oats. And the reason it's called complex is it has other food groups in it like protein, fats, it has fiber. So for example, a complex carbohydrates I've mentioned is oats. Another one is beans. So beans is carbohydrate, but then it has protein in it. It has, you can still see traces of fiber in it. Some vegetables are actually carbohydrates, but then they are loaded with fiber and other food groups. So the complex carbohydrates are pretty much carbohydrates that have carbohydrates, but then they have other food groups in them as well. So that's where, and those kind of carbohydrates you find from whole food sources. They are hardly ever processed. Okay, so we have simple carbohydrates and then we have complex carbohydrates. When you take the complex carbohydrates, your body doesn't break it down as quickly as it will break the simple carbohydrates because of the interference of other food groups. So for example, things like fiber. Fiber slows down the digestion of carbohydrates. So when you take fiber with any meal, you are rest assured that that meal is not going to be converted very quickly to sugar in the body. And that's why it's always important and advisable that you are focusing your attention on complex carbohydrates. The problem with people in this part of the world is that our meals are heavy on carbs. They are heavy on carbs. You know, there's a right way to actually combine your meal so you're getting the best of things. Apart from just even eating a balanced diet or a balanced meal, there's a right way to combine your meals. But unfortunately, people, when somebody wants to eat a plate of rice, for example, you find that they add plantain, they add moi moi, they add and plantain is just pure carbs. Moi moi again, like I said, is pure carbs because it's made from beans. Has just a little trace of protein and fiber, but it's also carbs. So imagine you're eating carbs on carbs on carbs on carbs. And then what happens when you do that? The minute you take or you eat a carb loaded meal, it goes into your body and immediately, like I said, it's converted to sugar very quickly, especially if you don't have things like fiber or protein that's slowing down the digestion process and the conversion process. And so when you eat all of these simple carbs and then heavy carb meals, it's converted very quickly to sugar in the body. And in a bid to protect the body, in a bid to protect this sugar from going into your bloodstream and going into different parts of your body that now causes problems, there's an hormone in your pancreas that's activated that's called insulin. This is where insulin comes into play. Now, what is the primary job of insulin? The primary job of insulin is to take this food you have eaten and then convert it to energy and send the energy to your cells. That's the primary responsibility of insulin. But when it now becomes a problem is when you continue to overconsume carbohydrates. So in the morning, you are having a high carb meal. In the afternoon, you're having a high carb meal. At night, you're having a high carb meal. At some point, your body already now has too much sugar in it. And so at some point, when the insulin is trying to take this sugar that's now converted to energy to your cells shuts itself up. It says, I've had enough. I don't want any more sugar. I've had enough. So it shuts itself off. And in a bid for your insulin to protect your bloodstream and protect your overall body, it now starts to figure out ways or find ways to move this energy into other organs of your body so that it doesn't enter your bloodstream. Because once that sugar enters your bloodstream, it causes things like diabetes. It causes very terrible chronic health diseases and conditions that you do not want. So in a bid to help your body, insulin is activated and then it tries to now move this sugar that the cells have obviously now rejected into other parts of your body, starting with your liver. Before you know it, and one of the major signs that you see in the physical is you start having a very fat midsection. That's when your stomach starts protruding. Your midsection is now fat. You have what they call this thing, love handles. Everywhere around here is just on a big side. And that's why I said it's a big cause for concern, because when your stomach starts to become big like that, it's because your insulin is looking for ways to preserve this energy without it entering your bloodstream to cause damage. Let me give you a typical example of an average Nigerian's breakfast. In the morning, they wake up and they go and grab a big loaf of what they call it agege bread. And then they mix hot chocolates, that's brown thing people drink, and then they will get the bread, which is of course categorized as simple carbohydrates because what? It has no nutrients in it. It's pure sugar. Then they get the bread. They get the hot chocolates. The hot chocolate on its own is also very highly processed and contains a huge amount of sugar in it. Now, where there is now problem is that same hot chocolate, an average Nigerian will probably take like 5-6 cubes of sugar and put it into the hot chocolate. Take like 2-3 tablespoons of milk, which also contains sugar, and put it into the hot chocolate. And then what happens? They have the bread, they slather butter on top of the bread, and they eat, and they say that's breakfast. What you don't know is that your insulin is screaming at the top of his lungs. This is too much sugar for one meal. Literally. Now that's breakfast. On their way to the office or wherever they go, they see sausage roll on the road. I don't want to call the brand's name. And they see fizzy drinks, all those colored drinks that people find in traffic. You say, let me just buy to hold belly. So you buy that one, you chunk that one down. Pure carbohydrates, pure processed foods, pure everything just converting really quickly to sugar. Your insulin now is screaming like, girl, can you stop this? Can you stop this? At this point, I think at this point, your cell has already shut down because I don't need this much energy anymore. You're giving me too much. I don't need it anymore. So it shuts down itself. And then your insulin is now screaming over the top. Girl, you need to stop. But as an average Nigerian, you don't stop. What do you now do? For lunch, you now carry what? Rice and beans and plantain and moi moi. You say, hey, this is lunch now. You say, okay, no matter how small the quantity is, rice, beans, plantain, moi moi in a plate is a taboo. It's a no-no. It's a no-no. It's a no-no. Because again, like I said, everything is converted very quickly to sugar, especially if you don't have a high fiber and protein content on your plate as well. Then you eat that for lunch. During the day, you'll be looking for chin-chin to snack on, plantain chips to snack on, all those biscuits to snack on. You'll be snacking here and there. The more you snack, it's entering your body, converting to sugar, and damaging your insulin. And then for dinner, you come back home, you eat heavy eba and soup, and that one on its own. So by the time you're done with the day, you find that you have consumed so much carbohydrates. Your insulin was literally active and at work throughout the entire day. And then again, you wake up the next morning, you repeat the same process, day after day after day after day. At some point, your insulin will have enough, because your other organs where the insulin takes the energy to has had enough. They are now not responding to insulin anymore. Cell is saying, I've had enough fats. Liver is saying, I've had enough energy. Because at this point, your liver is already now so enlarged and very big. It goes into your heart. It goes into different parts. They've all had enough. Then insulin is now on its own. They are all resisting insulin. Insulin is now on its own. And it says, you know what? This girl does not want to hear what I beg. So insulin gives way. And when that energy and that sugar rushes into your bloodstream, like I said, you now start having diseases like what? Diabetes. You start having very chronic diseases. The headache you feel, the blurry sight and vision that you see is as a result of poor eating or having too much sugar in your body. So insulin resistance is just pretty much when those organs that are supposed to be living freely and happily by you eating well are no longer living freely and happily and cannot take the rubbish that you're feeding it with anymore. And they're saying, insulin, I beg, go and figure out where you're going to put all of this energy, because I'm not interested in it again. And again, like I said, the physical signs that you are insulin resistant or that you are already overworking your insulin is the fact that you start having a very big midsection, which we call big belly. So if you have a big belly today, take this as a reminder, or take this as your cue or as a sign to slow down, literally slow down and start paying attention to what you feed your body with. Because this is actually the number one cause of belly fat in the world. And like I said, there are other causes like stress. Imagine now you are insulin resistant, or you have too much sugar in your body right at this point. Then you are now overly stressed. Maybe you now have an hormonal condition in your body, or maybe you even have fibroids. Imagine how we need to do better, guys. I thought it best to come here and film this video because I'm actually tired. Sometimes when I put out my what I eat in a day videos, and I get comments like, Winnie, do you survive on this? Are you sure you survive on this? Or when you turn off the camera, do you go and eat something else? And I'm like, how do I explain to these people that this is actually the right way to eat? Some people even go as far as saying that I'm punishing myself and I'm not eating well. And I'm like, how do I tell these people that this is the right way to eat? And they are the ones actually punishing themselves with the way that they eat. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try my best, use my platforms and amplify this message so that we can start paying attention to the way that we eat. Because believe it or not, guys, our parents, the people that were there before us, most of them did not teach us right. When it comes to nutrition, they didn't give us proper nutrition education. And it's now up to you as a person to get educated. And insulin resistance or being pre-diabetic or diabetic is not only for those who actually have big belly. As a slim person, you can actually be insulin resistant. As a skinny person, you can actually be diabetic because there are other factors that may be contributing to your skinniness. So this is not only for those who have a big belly or those who are fat. Even a slim person can actually be a diabetic because if you continue eating like I have just explained now, It's just a matter of time before your insulin gives way, and then that sugar rushes into your bloodstream, and that's what they now call high blood sugar. Then you now start hurrying to the hospital, trying to get the doctors to check your glucose level and try to get things down. But now the power is in your hands. You have control over what you put in your mouth. Would you pay attention? Okay, with that short analogy, I hope you now understand the reason why your belly may actually be growing very big, especially if you've not been paying attention to your meals. Let's now go over to the part where I share with you practical tips. Practical, the ones I actually even took that helped me on my journey and has helped thousands and millions of people on their journeys as well, that can help you start paying attention to not just what you eat, but then reduce that midsection area and then help insulin help you on your journey. Okay? Let's get right into it. Okay, so now that we now understand this concept of high insulin and how it just stores fat and doesn't burn it because of the overconsumption of carbohydrates and not paying attention to how we eat. How do you break this cycle, and how do you now flatten your belly? That's what I'm about to share in this part of the video. How do you break the cycle, and how do you flatten your belly? So the very first thing I'll say to you is, the explanation I gave you is just like the basic explanation that anyone can understand, right? But I want you to take some time and go and educate yourself more on this thing called insulin resistance, the insulin hormone, first of all, how it affects your body, and the things that you're probably doing right or not doing right that's supporting the work of insulin. Especially, again, like I said, if you have a fat belly. So get education. Get educated. You can book a one-on-one session with me. I'll give you the breakdown. If this explanation I just gave is not important, it's not sufficient for you, you can book a one-on-one. I'm going to put a link in the description box down below. But get education. There's education everywhere. There's information everywhere. You can go search for it and get educated on this thing called insulin, because it's the #1 primary cause of belly fat in the world, even according to the statistics, right? The second thing that I've put down here is, so first of all, depending on the level or the size of your belly, again, like I said, this may not be the primary cause of your own belly fat. There may be other factors, and that's why I mentioned them at the beginning. If you think that this is not the main cause, you can go seek the help of an expert in the medical field to guide you more on how to maybe do some tests, run some blood work, just get to know what's going on inside your belly, because a fat belly is not a good thing, right? So get to know. But if you think that yours is just from the overconsumption of carbohydrates, then depending on the size of the belly, you can decide to take a very drastic approach, like going on a fast, resetting your whole body, maybe going on a 3-day intensive water fast and resetting your whole body. Again, I'm not advising you to do this if you have a severe medical condition. Please seek the expertise of your doctor, get counsel from your doctors. But if you wanted to take a more drastic approach to things, then I would advise you to just reset your whole body by going on a 3 to 5 day fast, so that your insulin can relax. Even your insulin will be shocked. This girl has not eaten for 5 days. What's going on here? What is going on here? If you can do it, and if it is medically advisable for you to do it, please reset. Hit reset. It's a very important. Fasting is actually very, 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 very I'm stressing on that word very. Fasting is actually very good for the body. I mean, not for overly long periods. It has its own downsides, but it's actually really good for your body, especially if you're trying to reset things. So if you want to take a drastic approach to things, then please immediately just go and do that reset. And then as you're resetting the body, you're learning more and then following the other tips that I'm going to be sharing with you. Okay. So after that, if you want to take a more lighter approach, or now you are taking the drastic approach and you want to now maintain what you have started, right? The very first thing I'll say is you need to pay attention to your first meal of the day. Now, your first meal of the day, regardless of the time it is called your breakfast. Breakfast is not the food you have in the morning. I need to change that notion. Breakfast is your first meal of the day, regardless of what that time is. Because when you say break fast, it's breaking a fast. So you have slept throughout the night. You were literally fasting. So fasting is just pretty much abstaining from putting food into your mouth. So that period while you were sleeping, you were fasting. You wake up the next morning, as long as you don't put food in your mouth, you are still fasting. So the very first meal of the day you put inside your mouth is you now breaking that fast period. I'm not talking about spiritual fast here. I'm talking about the general fast, because in this part of the world, a lot of you are used to spiritual fasts. That's not the only fast that exists, okay? So the very first meal you take is the make or break for your entire day. So you need to be avoiding meals that have high carbohydrates, especially high simple carbohydrates in them. My advice, go for meals that are loaded with protein, fats, and very minimal carbohydrates if you must take carbohydrates. Because once that meal gets into your belly, the first hormone that responds to the assimilation of that meal, like I've mentioned, is your insulin. You don't want to spike it very early in the day, because when you spike insulin very early in the day, oh my God, oh my God. That's why I said get education. When that insulin spikes, because it now has to release itself again, it has to release a lot of it to protect your body from that sugar, preventing that sugar to go into your bloodstream. It spikes up, and by the time it spikes and then now crashes back, you start to feel things like drowsiness. You start to feel very heavy after eating in the morning. You wonder, why am I feeling sleepy? Why am I feeling so sleepy after I've eaten in the morning? It's because your insulin has spiked and then it has crashed. So you want to ensure that your first meal of the day is not a high carb meal. Take it from me, please, guys. Take it from me. And then, of course, again, like I said, go get education. Get educated about it. You want to ensure that your first meal of the day is not agege bread and hot chocolates. You want to ensure that your first meal of the day is not hefty yam. I'm not saying don't eat yam, but if you must eat yam, let the yam be very minimal, and then you can pair it with things like maybe scrambled eggs or egg sauce, and then add some avocado for healthy fat in there as well. But the quantity of carbohydrates and the type of carbohydrates you eat as your first meal of the day should actually be very minimal, so that you are protecting your insulin and you're protecting your whole body. Even if you must eat carbohydrate, let it be complex carbohydrate, like I've mentioned, things like oats. You can have sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are loaded with fiber, and then they also have some form of protein in it as well. So focus on complex carbohydrate, and then ensure that you are pairing them with lots of protein and lots of fats as your first meal of the day. And then, because it's your first meal of the day, doesn't mean you go all out and eat it all. Be mindful of your portion sizes as well. Eat a small meal. I tell you, your body would actually take you longer through the day when you've actually focused on eating the right type of food and then in the right proportion. So the very first way to break free from this cycle, or break this cycle and reduce your belly fat, is start being mindful of your first meal of the day. Stop drinking fizzy drink and sausage roll and say you are... There was a day I was at the airport traveling at 6:15 in the morning. And then at the airport, I saw a man and he had 2 children. And this man was feeding his children orange drink. I don't want to call the name. Orange drink and sausage roll for their first meal of the day. I was this close to saying something, but I was like, I beg, let me better mind my business before they slap me at this airport. But I was it made me cringe so bad that I saw those little children taking that as their first meal of the day. That would hamper a lot with their development in so many ways. So please pay attention to your first meal of the day. And then, doesn't now mean that after you've eaten first meal of the day, then you now throw caution to the wind. What you eat in the afternoon also matters. And I always say, even if you want to eat a high carb meal, still be mindful of the portion, but have that high carb meal in the most, maybe for lunch, never for dinner. I think we'll get to that in the list I mentioned. The second practical tip that I have here that can help you break the cycle and then help you flatten your tummy very quickly is for you to build balanced meals. Every meal should be balanced. Make it a mission, a personal mission, to ensure that every meal you take must be balanced. So what is a balanced meal? Protein, fiber. Fiber can be gotten from whole grains like your beans. Fiber can be gotten from things like your sweet potatoes. Fiber can be gotten from veggies. So there is the root vegetables, you have the carrots and things like your bell peppers. You also have the leafy vegetables, but be mindful of those leafy ones though. I find that leafy vegetables cause bloating, make me bloat. I don't know why, especially when I have them just like as that with nothing else, because of course fiber doesn't digest in your belly. If you understand how fiber works, it doesn't digest. So you need to pair it with the work of fiber is just to slow down the work of carbohydrates so it doesn't just convert quickly to sugar. So if you're just consuming just fiber, it's going to stay in that belly and it's going to bloat that belly up and make that belly look so big. So be mindful of just consuming too much of just fiber. Okay, and then of course your protein from eggs, from sardines, from fish, from chicken breasts, chicken, turkey, meats, pretty much. So you want to ensure that your plate has a combination of fiber, protein, it has carbohydrates in it, but then focus more on complex carbohydrates. Get rid of the refined carbs. Get rid of them. Stop eating bread. Even if you must eat bread, eat whole grain breads. Stop saying it's too healthy eating is expensive. Stop it. Your health is priceless. Your health is priceless. Because the amount of time and energy and money it will cost you to go fix yourself at the hospital can be pumped into eating healthy in the first place. So stop telling me healthy eating is expensive. Stop it. Is your health not worth any money you pay for it? So because it's expensive, then you will eat what you're supposed to eat. Yes, I'm shouting at you. Behave yourself quickly. We even have a video on the channel where I shared some unconventional tips that you can actually use to eat healthy on a budget. You should go check out that video. I'm going to put a link somewhere in the description box down below, so check it out there, okay? But please, pretty much ensure that your meals are well balanced, because like I said before, fiber slows down digestion and then it controls blood sugar spikes and then supports gut health. So ensure you're adding some fiber to your meal, ensure there's protein there, and be mindful of the carbohydrate portion. Carbohydrate should be very small. Okay, this next one is, of course, eat mindfully. I'm going to film a whole video and another episode about eating mindfully and what eating mindfully entails, so that you can start paying more attention to how you eat, what you eat, and how your body responds to what you eat. So just look out for that video. That video may come up maybe after this one or 2 weeks after that. So just look out for it, and you need to stay subscribed so you don't miss that video when we upload it. Okay, this next one is actually very, very important, and it's simple. You need to give your body breaks from constant eating. I mentioned to you, when you are constantly eating, you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In between your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you are snacking 10 million times. Your insulin will continue to stay elevated. You don't want your insulin to continue to be activated all through the day. Every time you put something inside your mouth, back up like this, especially carbohydrates, your insulin wakes up. You don't want your insulin to be awake all the time. Sometimes you want to give it a break. So my advice here is give your body food breaks throughout the day. This is also what I'm going to talk heavily about when I'm filming the video about mindful eating. Don't be the one eating every time your mouth is moving. People don't even eat from just hunger alone or just to fuel their body. People eat from stress. There's something called emotional eating. You just be eating. Maybe you want to get your mind off something. The only escape route for you is to be eating. It's actually a problem. And it's a problem that comes from mindlessness. When you're not mindful, you're mindless and you keep eating. You know it's doing you bad, but you keep eating because you can't help yourself. Your insulin is being affected. So my advice is aim for 2 to 3 balanced meals every day. And even if you must snack, 1 snack a day is okay. And stay hydrated with electrolytes. If you don't have electrolytes, put salt inside your water. Sometime, maybe 2 times in a day. Put some salt in your water and drink it. I'm going to talk about electrolytes in another video. There's so much to talk about, guys. This is our body, eh? This is our masterpiece of a body that God gave to us, eh? It needs care. It needs care. And that care starts with education. That's why I said, go and educate yourself on nutrition. Because we weren't taught these things and we need to start learning more about them. So, advice, 2 to 3 balanced meals every day. I do 1. Sometimes in a whole month, I'm just doing 1 balanced meal. Sometimes I do 2 balanced meals, sometimes it just depends on it's not even necessarily my mood, it just depends on what I feel is right for my body at the time. But throughout that day, I'm staying well hydrated, and then I have just maybe 1 or 2 snacks here and there. And they're healthy snacks you can snack on, not plantain chips, not sausage roll and fizzy drinks. Okay, dokie? If it's safe for you, you can consider intermittent fasting. So give your body maybe a 12 to 14 hour fast period throughout the night, and then when you wake up, don't just eat immediately. Give your body a fast, okay? It's good sometimes. It's good if you don't have medical conditions. It's very good. Fast is very good for your body. Do that intermittent fasting. And again, when you do intermittent fasting, be mindful of what you break your fast with, because it's as important. If you can spoil the whole fast with the meal that you break your fast with if it's not a right meal. Okay. Now, the next one is, of course, pay attention to your food combinations. This is something that a lot of people are not aware of. So pretty much, the right meal combination, I say, can turn a heavy carb meal or a heavy carb dish into an insulin-friendly meal if you know exactly what you're doing. I mentioned that in this part of the world, the most common combination, right, you see carb. So there's beans, there's rice, there's moi, there's plantain on one plate. That's a very poor combination. That will spike your insulin so high. And then, of course, the combination at which you eat the food matters. So if I were you and I have a balanced plate, the first thing that I will put in my belly, now that I know that fiber is actually what blocks or stops that sugar rush when I eat carbohydrate or any other food group, the first thing I will aim to eat is fiber. So anything that has fiber in it will go in first to act as a block, as a shield for anything that I'm going to be eating, so that it doesn't just, if I eat the carb, it doesn't just flush down into the insulin and affect it. The fiber will block it somewhere, and then the carbohydrate now starts to seep in slowly, which now, of course, helps the insulin not activate itself just too much. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm trying to use layman's language as much as possible. So I will eat the fiber first, then maybe find a way to now eat the maybe protein and carbohydrates together, or you can mix it all up together and eat it all together. It still would have the same effect. So under this point of paying attention to your food combination, I want you to think of your plates as a team and not individuals. They work together, they work hand in hand. So fiber is what? The defense. It's a defensive shield that goes to defend is it defense or offense? It acts as a shield, right? And protects the insulin from the damage of carbohydrates you want to give the body. This does not mean, this is not your license to eat carbohydrates in heavy amounts. But if I were you, the first things first, put some fiber there to block any harm that the carbohydrate is going to come and cause. Then eat your protein and then eat your carbohydrates. So see your plate as a team. Don't see it as individual components. Some examples of very terrible food combinations I want to talk about are the carbs that I mentioned. It's like beans, rice, plantain, moi. There's no fiber there. There's no protein there, nothing. That's very, very bad for you. Maybe you're saying you want to eat jollof rice and fried plantain. Stop it. Don't ever do that again in your life. Cut that out. Jollof rice and fried plantain should not be the only thing on your plate when you eat. Put some protein there. Put some vegetables there for some fiber. Another food combination you should pay very close attention is eating fruits and a heavy meal. Guys, don't ever eat fruits after you've eaten a heavy meal. It's a poor way to eat. Even if you must eat fruits, let the fruits go in first before the heavy meal. Why? If you eat a heavy meal like starch or protein that takes very long to digest, fruits digest very quickly in the body. So if you eat a heavy meal first, you are blocking the digestion of the fruits. And what happens when fruit stays longer than it should in your stomach area before it digests? It ferments. And that's what leads to what? Bloating. Think about it this way. Go and put fruits in room temperature on top of your countertop. Go and keep it there. Or maybe in a fridge that is not cold. What happens? The fruit starts to bring out things like bubbles. There is gas in the fridge. By the time you come, you are seeing that maybe the nylon of the fruit has swollen up. That is gas. That's the same thing that happens when you eat a heavy meal and then eat fruits after. Because that heavy meal takes time to digest. That fruit is just going to be there in your tummy. And that's what makes you have a very big tummy. In form of what? Bloated. Oh my God, I have so much to share, guys. So much knowledge to share with regards to food and how it responds to our body. I hope that God gives me the strength to share as much as I can. But in the meantime, go get knowledge, guys. Go educate yourself. Have basic nutrition knowledge, okay? The other points that I have here, I'm sure you've probably heard it 1,010,000 times, is you need to build muscle and you need to move more. As humans, the older we grow, humans' muscle mass tends to degenerate. So your muscle mass keeps reducing. That's why, for example, it's easy to know if somebody lived a physically active life in their 60s or 70s by how they walk. Somebody walking bends. I mean, apart from some people who have very chronic medical conditions, the way you walk, the way you move actually tells me whether or not you have an active physical life, especially in your older years. So because your muscle degenerates, you need to intentionally do things that actually keeps it active. That's why strength training at the gym or in your house is important. Strength training is pretty much what? Lifting heavy weights, putting that muscle to work. When you see me at the gym every time, Winnie, what are you doing there? You're not fat. That's what I hear these days. What are you doing there? You don't need the gym. I don't have to be fat to go to the gym, guys. Because now I know that the older I get, my muscle needs to be put to work so that it can stay strong for me throughout the length of my days. I want to be 80 and still be walking like I'm 10. That's the power of strength training and lifting weights. You can lift your own body weight if you don't have weights, but invest in a dumbbell or two. And you do it in your house if you don't want to go to the gym. Or you can climb on the treadmill and go on this incline walk and walk on a very high incline. There's so many ways we need to start paying attention to our health. Build your muscle by strength training and lifting weight, and then move more. Your body wasn't designed to sit in one place. I'm telling you guys, your body was not designed to be in one place. Your body is designed to move. That's why, for example, you find that you get a heavy relief when you've eaten a very heavy meal and you take a 20-minute walk. That walk frees up your system and frees your body up makes it easier for you to process the food you've just eaten and digest it a lot better. Start moving more. Go on walks. Exercise your body. Lift the weight is for your own good. And another point that I'm going to give, a practical point, is you need to pay very good attention to your sleep, guys. Sleep is a non-negotiable when it comes to helping your belly fat go down. Sleep is a non-negotiable. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. It's not laziness. Gone are those days where they say you sleep too much. Sleep is important, and there's a reason why it's a part of our lifestyle as humans. There's a reason it was included in our lifestyle, because during your sleep time, your body has the time to repair itself. It rejuvenates. See, your body was actually designed to repair itself. Your body was actually designed to sustain itself. Your body can actually repair itself if there's any damage. So it happens during the process of sleep, and when, of course, the repair process is faster when it has the nutrients, the vitamins, and the minerals that it needs to actually help this repair process. Have you ever wondered why, when you go to the hospital and maybe the doctor notices that there's a swelling in your head, what does he give you? He gives you something that makes you sleep so that your body can calm down. You're not active. It's not processing. It's not working. Imagine your TV being on morning till night every day of the week. At some point, it starts to overheat. Or maybe your car is running every day without it stopping or slowing down or even turning off the engine. At some point, it starts to overheat. It's the same way your body system is wired. You need to rest your body. It's very, very important. And like I mentioned earlier, stress is actually one of the major causes of a big belly. So pay attention to these things, okay? And I've also found that poor sleep increases your cravings during the day. Poor sleep makes it harder for you to get your bloatings out. This is what I've observed. The days when I don't sleep early and maybe I don't get enough sleep, or maybe 3 to 4 hours of sleep, I wake up and it feels like my whole body just fights me, because they are like, no girl, we have not rested. So I feel drowsy. I'm craving the most things. I'm craving sugar so bad when I don't sleep. And that has actually taught me a big lesson, and now I prioritize sleep above everything else. The final thing I'm going to say before I wrap up this episode is you can actually start paying more attention to your body, and you can flatten your belly. It's not a dead sentence that you have a big belly. You can actually reverse things, and you don't have to starve yourself to do it. You can eat good and eat right. You just need to know the right things to do. You just need to know how to do it. You just need to know in what way, in what combination. There's a science to eating right, and you just need to know it. And that's why I've said get education. And if you don't want to spend time educating yourself, consult me. I'm here to guide you and help you on that journey. And then we have an array of meal plans that can also help you. These meal plans were actually carefully thought of to help you in this regard. They are meals that are well balanced. They are filled with all the different classes of food, and then they are ranging from the low carb meal plan to a diabetes friendly meal plan. We also even have a detox meal plan. We have a healthy meal plan, a weight loss meal plan, and we have a couple of other ones, low carb meal plan as well. And then we're working on a high protein one. We're working on a PCOS meal plan. It's all coming. But you can access the ones that we already have and then just start eating right, start feeding your body right, and start getting this belly flat. Because when you have a flat belly, I tell you, you would like your body a whole lot more. Okay, remember, this episode is not to sharp you or make you feel bad in any way. It's just to create awareness so that you can actually start paying more attention to how you feed your body, what you feed your body with, when you feed your body, and then get your overall health back in check. That's pretty much all that I have for you for today's episode. Let me see if there's something I'm missing out of here. The last one I put here that I didn't mention is if you change how you eat carbs, how often you eat it, and how you move, your belly has no choice but to shrink. So mine shrinks and yours can shrink as well. And like I said, I'm going to film a whole video about eating mindfully, and I'm going to also be filming lots of health related videos that can actually help you on your healthy eating journey. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed so you don't miss any of the uploads. I'll see you again next time with another episode. Until then, remember to stay very, very healthy. Take care.